Good morning, everyone. So, this welcome to Capstone Project Prep 1 Part 1 session. So, just before going to the session, just let us go with a few of the basic guidelines for this particular session. So, if you guys have any questions, please do write it in a chat box. Once the session has been done with the explanation, then I will for sure address all the questions for raised from everyone, and I will address them and I will resolve over here itself. And this is a recorded session. We'll upload this video in the CYPD YouTube channel. So if you have any, if you want any repeated things, then you can find it in the YouTube channel and refer this particular video. And so, guys, before coming to this particular session, you have completed your 26 online exams. So the next ultimate phase will be this capstone projects. So there are three different types of capstones. One is capstone project prep 1 part 1, sorry, and capstone project 2 and capstone project 3. So in capstone project prep 1, there are three parts. One is of prep 1 part 1, prep 1 part 2, prep 1 part 3. And here we are discussing prep 1 part 1. So let us go with the particular session. So what exactly it would be. So in order to prepare with your document, so we will it will help your particular case study to resolve and how to write those particular answers for this particular case study. Everything will be guided over here in this particular session. So let us go with the session. So see, you will be given with a case study and you have to follow the same set of guidelines to address everything and write everything related to your document. So here this is a similar case study. Okay, it's not the same case study which I was given to you, but the thing, it's a similar case study. Let us go with this case study essentially. So here in this particular case study, Mr. Anthony, a prosperous NRI, had the idea to develop a website devoted to fashion with a focus of high-end apparel and as accessories. He has collaborated on the application with Mr. Bhaskar, Mr. Kathy, and Mr. Dominic. The website should be easy to navigate, have a contemporary look, and process payments quickly. So, upon looking at the papers, Mr. Anthony has understood that Mr. Kathy already had a similar application, and as the sales are drastically declining, Mr. Anthony has taken on the duty to improving the application. The timeline of the project is 18 months, which is 1.5 year, with the budget of 1 crore. And as of now, just a second. So is it clear, guys, now? Is my voice is clear now? Yes, no in the chat box, please. Yeah, thank you. So as of now, the current problems for this particular case study, in the sense particular scenario, are faced by Mr. Kathy are guys, please check with your internet connection. If there is any breakdown in voice, please do check out with your internet connection. Okay. So, as of now, the current problems being faced by Mr. Kathy are lack of knowledge on fashion of the customers, so lack of customer reach. So, by looking into these current problems, Mr. Anthony has a team pulled in on board. So, if we discuss in detail, so here there are two types of problems specifically mentioned about Mr. Kathy, whichever he faced earlier. So he mentioned like lack of knowledge of fashion of the customers. So this is what exactly the current problem, major problem. And one second problem is lack of customer reach. So let us try to decode in detail. So for this particular case study, Mr. Anthony company. So Nova Corp on-site team has the following team. So on-site team follows like this, like Mr. Philip, the project head, and Mr. Walter White and Miss Ruby and Miss Serena are the committee members. And Mr. Anthony outsourced this project to the company named Adino offshore team. So Mr. John delivery head and Mr. Anna like project manager, Mr. Chase senior Java developer, Miss Nora Java developer one, Shushank and Vivan are Java developers, and Mr. Mike is a network admin, and Mr. John database admin, Mr. Jason is a net tester, and you are going to act as a business analyst for this particular case study. In the sense, similar case study, whichever we are going to give you, you will be acting as a business analyst for that particular case study. So here in this Capstone project prep one part one and prep one part two as well as prep one part three, there will be a single case study. You have to document everything individually upon your justification and documentation. So the case study will be depending upon the e-commerce application as well, the similar application e-commerce. So as this is an e-commerce application, it would be easy for you to understand and write your document accordingly. So this is what exactly the case study for this particular thing. So if we try to, so the ultimate aim of this particular weapon part one is, so once you get into the case study, the primary task of a business analyst is to decode the particular case study so that we can understand what exactly the project idea and what were the current needs and what is the overview of the project and what are the current problems and to know the team. So let us try to understand in detail what is the project idea for this particular case study related to online fashion store. So the project idea is to develop a website devoted to fashion with a focus on high-end apparel and accessories. So Mr. Henry wants to develop. Mr. Anthony wants to develop a website devoted to the fashion and fashion with with a focus of high-end apparel and accessories. So, what are the current needs for this particular case study? So, as per the requirements, it should be easy to navigate to the customers and have a contemporary look and process the payments quickly. And what is the overview of the project? So, it's an e-commerce based project, right? So there is an existing application present, but the current project would be like to take the inputs from the current one and work on the new one. And the current problems which are facing are like decline of sales, non-user friendly, and unable to handle the competition in the market. So these are what exactly we can get to know once we decode the study. And the ultimate work is to identify the team. So by decoding everything, we will get to know who are the whoever the employees involving in this particular team. For example, onshore team as well as the offshore team. So the particular aim is to identify them so that we can work together with them on this particular application. So once we decode this particular case study, what next? So you will be given with a set of questions. You have to answer them and write it in a Word document. So how you should prepare this particular document and how you have to write your document, we will discuss in here. See, guys, if you have any questions, please do wait. Once the session ends, I will address everything. I will give you time. Just be waiting. Just be wait for this particular session to complete so that I can address everything. So the first question would be business process model. So in your document, you have to write what is business process model. For example, let us try to understand what exactly a business process model will be following. So it helps in how a particular business process works or how the tasks are performed in this particular application and how information flows in between different departments or entities and how the business process modeling is often used to improving the efficiency of the particular project, vice versa, etc. So in order to go with this, so try to write what exactly the business process model on try to define what is a business process model for this particular case study, and write the goals, inputs, resources, outputs, activities, and values that is going to be created by this application. So for this particular case study, the goal is to bridge the gap between the buyers and the sellers. And inputs given are customer data, marketing campaigns, and trained employees. And resources are like warehouses, software, and office space, as well as the human resources, vice versa, etc. And outputs are like sales revenue and efficiency to generate. And activities involved are like excellent activities to be contributed activities to be involved are like excellent provided are excellent customer service and partner with lending brands, and value to be generated are wide range and customer satisfaction throughout this application, web, online, application, store application. So these are in the similar way you have to prepare your question answer for this particular question related to your case study. So these are the answers I have given related to in short form I have given related to this particular case study, online shopping store. In a similar way, you have to prepare your document for the case study which will be given to you. Okay. So what is the next question? So the next question is on please do SWOT analysis on this particular project. So for the similar same case study which will be given to you, you have to prepare a SWOT analysis for that particular case study. So if you try to understand why we do some SWOT analysis for everything, is to make an effective planning for the project. So what exactly the SWOT consists? So the SWOT will be identifying the strengths of the project and weaknesses of the project and opportunities as well as the threats, so that we can identify everything and plan accordingly more effective. So for this particular case study for online shopping store, the strengths are like strong brand recognition and reputation in the online fashion store, reputation in the online shopping fashion. And weaknesses are like dependence on external vendors, supply chain disruptions, and inventory management issues. And opportunities would be like obviously for e-commerce applications, the expansion into new product categories, as well as the expansion on markets by competing with the other companies. So threats would be like economic downturns, as well as the changes in the customers' spending habits, vice versa. So in the similar way, you have to prepare what exactly is SWOT analysis for your particular project. Write what exactly is SWOT initially, and then go with the going with the case study given to you. Write what were the strengths according to your case study, and weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for your case study for you, whichever the case study given to you. So the next question. What is the feasibility study? So if we try to understand what exactly the feasibility study is, nothing but a study that we conduct in general to know the viability of the project, in the sense depending upon the several constants like technology, hardware, software, resources, budget, and time frame, whether if we implement this particular project into the market, if we implement this particular project, can it go into the market live? Depending upon several constants, whichever you use, we use like technology, hardware, software, resources, budget, time frame, vice versa, etc. So while preparing your document, write what exactly the feasibility study initially, and going with the things, write, elaborate everything related to like, just a second. See, I have clearly said like I will address everything in the by the end of this particular session. Please be stay calm till the session ends. Okay. I will give you chance to speak. I will give you chance to write your concerns and I will address everything. Please stay in the call itself. So, for this particular case study, the feasibility study, depending upon the technology or based on the database services, servers, and payment gateways, securities, and APIs, and hardwares are like based on the storage, backup systems, and network infrastructure, vice versa. So, software are like based on shopping cart software and content management system and payment gateway software. So resources involved in this are like project management team, business analysts, as well as software developer, vice versa, etc. Whoever involved in the particular project, like humans, whoever working in this particular project should be mentioned over here in this particular thing. And budget, various costs involved, such as development costs and hardware costs, vice versa. So you have to mention those particular costs, whichever involved in this particular things. Okay. And time frame based on the resources. Time frame will be depending completely on the based on the resources as well as the number of features that you are going to develop in the particular project. So this is what exactly the feasibility study and this is how you exactly prepare for your document related to the Capstone project prep 1 part 1. So the next question is gap analysis. So what exactly the gap analysis? So while going with the question number 4, what is a gap analysis? So write what exactly the gap analysis, define it, and if you can elaborate it in an easy way, then it would be good. And so let us try to understand what exactly the gap analysis is about. So gap analysis is nothing but a strategic tool that helps to understand the differences between the current state and the desired future state of a particular business or project, vice versa, or the process or the flow, whatever it might be. So what exactly it does? So it does help us to identify areas where we can improve all the necessary steps to bridge the gap. For example, it follows a current state. So it is similarly like a as is to be process. As is in the sense it will be speaking about the current state, and depending upon the current state, we will be going through the desired state. So we will be working on the desired output state. So for example, for this particular case study, online fashion store. The current state are established online fashion and life cycle platform with a wide range of products and seamless shopping experience and dependence on external vendors for product supply and limited control over product quality and high operating expenses due to the investments in technology and marketing. These are the current states of this particular online fashion store. And my desired state would be like increased control over product quality through strategic partnership with selected brands and designers and expansion into new product categories and markets and continued investment in emerging technologies to enhance this customer experience and improve operational efficiency and profitability through cost reduction measures. So in the similar way, you have to write what were the current states and what were the desired states of the particular case study or particular project that that you are going to be assigned. Okay. So it completely depends upon the case study only. And the next question is fifth question. It's prepare risk analysis. So let us initially going with the risk analysis, try to understand what exactly the risk analysis is about. So if you identify, so the risk analysis is nothing but a process of identifying the potential risk which will be going to arrive or arise in the future state. So by risk analysis, we can identify the potential risk which will get in future so that we can work accordingly and we can plan accordingly so that we can make all the process and workflow more effectively towards the project delivery. So what kind of risk will be involved? So while preparing your document, write what is risk analysis initially and try to define it and elaborate it. and mention what were the risks involved in this particular project. So there would be like internal risk, external risk, and BA risk. BA risk in the sense business analyst risk and project based risk. So internal risks are like dependence on external vendors for product supply and inventory management for this particular online fashion store, and high operating expenses due to the investments in technology and marketing. And external risks involved like intense competition for from other online fashion and lifestyle platform in India, and changes in government regulations, policies that affect the e-commerce industry, that might affect the e-commerce industry. And BA risk are incomplete requirements. In BA risk means in the sense business analyst risk. Incomplete requirements in the sense the main motive of main motive of a business analyst to gather all the particular requirements from the stakeholders so that everything will be covered. So there might be a chance to there might be a chance or there might be a risk whether a BA cannot collect all those requirements, and there is a domain related risk attached to BA, and there might be changes which will be occurring in the project, so there is a change in requirements. So according these are the particulars related to the BA business analyst risk. And project based risk are like the scope risk and stakeholder risk. So not all the stakeholders would be quite simple calm, so depending upon their situations it would be acting, and scope might be changing due to the change requests, vice versa. So there will be few risk involved for every particular case study or for every particular project, so that you have to analyze whatever the risk analysis and what are the risk involved in this particular project. Accordingly you have to write it under the risk analysis under the question number 5 in your Word document. And the next question is RACI matrix. RACI matrix is nothing but a stakeholder analysis. So in general, we will identify, see, it's a project management and decision making tool that will help us to clarify the roles as well as the responsibilities within a project or the process. And what exactly RACI means in the sense RACI is nothing but R stands for responsible, IA stands for accountable, and C stands for consulted, and I stands for to be informed. So by these particulars, we can identify the stakeholders who will be involved in this particular project. So the easiest way to identify the stakeholders is using the RACI matrix tool. So for example, what exactly race responsible in the sense? The responsible candidate or a responsible person is an individual who is going to perform the task. In the sense, who he will be acting as a doer. Doer in the sense he is responsible for doing this particular task and completing the task. So accountable is nothing but ultimately the person who is going to be answerable for this particular task. For example, let us think like it's a requirement gathering. So for requirement gathering, R is for doer and accountable for answerable, and C is for candidate who is going to be consulted for this particular phase or for particular task, and I used to be informed for this particular task. So in a similar way, for every phase and for every individual task, there will be these four particulars involved to identify the stakeholders. So in the similar way, you have to prepare your RACI matrix chart. So there will be a RACI one side and the name of the resource in the sense like employee or whoever working with your team members, and their designation followed, and details related to that. So in the similar way, you have to prepare your RACI matrix for your particular case study, which will be given to you. So the question number 7. So the question number 7 is nothing but business case document. So what exactly business case document? Let us try to understand what is business case document and what will be the particulars that we are going to discuss in this particular business case document. So for this particular question 7, so you have to prepare your document on business case document. So let us try to understand in detail. So a business case document is nothing but it includes the key details about the project objectives and what will be the benefits, cost, risk, and overall feasibility in short. So if we try to understand, so in the similar way, you have to prepare you have to make a note while starting with this question, what exactly the business case document initially, and try to elaborate it in few lines and mention all these particulars so that everything will be covered. So for example, what exactly it consists? These consist these particular 7 questions so that everything would be answered. So why this project is being initiated would be speaking in business case document, and what were the current problems that we are facing, and in this part with this particular project, how many problems could be solved, and what are the resources required for this particular project, and how much organizational change is required to adapt to this technology, and what is the time frame to recover return on investment, and how to identify the stakeholders as we discussed initially, we have to mention over here. So in the similar way, under this particular business case document, these particular questions would be reflecting. So you have to answer them in few lines so that everything would be covered. So this ultimately follows the business objectives as well as the business goals so that everything would be covered in this business case document. So in the similar way, you have to prepare this business case document for this particular 7th question in your Word document. So the eighth question. So the eighth question is nothing but SDLC methodologies. So if we try to understand for every human being or for everything, for every natural thing, there will be a life cycle. In the similar way, we do have a software development life cycle which will be followed for all the software development processes. So by this, what exactly this SDLC means? The SDLC, in simple, the SDLC provides a detailed plan for the development process. For example, to minimize risk and improve the effectiveness of and efficiency of the development process and the efforts which we are going to give, vice versa, etc. So in this SDLC, we do have several phases like planning or requirement gathering and analysis, system design, as well as implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance and support, vice versa, etc. So in the similar way, you have to write what is SDLC, and then following to that, you have to write these 4 methodologies. And the 4 methodologies which will be falling under SDLC are like sequential, which is related to waterfall, and iterative, which is for related to RUP, and evolutionary related to spiral, and agile related to Scrum. So you have to elaborate this particular 4 methodologies under this SDLC methodologies question, eighth question. Okay, individually you have to elaborate everything. So what is sequential? What is iterative? What is evolutionary? What is agile Scrum? So in the similar way, you have to elaborate them. So the next question is same like write about the SDLC model. So in the previous question, we have we have written about, we will be speaking about methodologies. Here we will be spoken about models. So what is the difference between the methodologies and a model? So let us try to understand. So methodology is nothing but a set of guidelines which will be released, where models will be following those guidelines and going through the process of the software level development lifecycle. So in the similar way, you have to understand the differences, and you have to write the document your questions, answer for your questions related to methodologies and models in this different eighth and ninth questions. So under the models, we have like waterfall model, V model, spiral, Scrum, and RUP. So you have to elaborate them as these models as well over here, and try to understand the differences in between the models and models and the methodologies. So the 10th question is write 4 differences between waterfall and V model. So in simple to understand these both, as this particular case study is related to waterfall. This entire prep 1, part 2, caption project prep 1, part 1, caption project prep 1, part 2, caption project prep 1, part 3. All these three parts are related to the waterfall concept. So the 10th question related to waterfall and V model. Difference, right? You have to write at least minimum of 4 to 5 differences. So if you have maximum, you can go with that, but you have to write at least more, minimum of 4 to 5 differences in between waterfall model as well as the V model. So before writing this, you can just give it the definition and elaboration for what is waterfall and what is V model, and then you can follow with the differentiation so that it would be more effective. So for this particular case study, so that like waterfall did like waterfall and view model has the differences like cost for waterfall the cost is low where compared to view model it's expensive, and in waterfall the testing activities starts at the largest stages. In view model like testing activities are the testing activities start with the first stages, and in waterfall move in a linear way, linear in the sense sequential one by one, and in V model don't move in a linear way, it will be going in a parallel way and less customer involvement. And here in V model more customer involvement. In the similar way you have to prepare your differences in between waterfall model as well as the V model for your particular project, I mean particular case study. It completely depends upon the case study to case study. Okay. And the next question. According to you, which model or methodology will suit to this project? Justify your answer. For every individual, there will be a different set of answers. So you have to answer accordingly as per your thought for this particular project. I mean, for this particular case study, which will be assigned to you. For see, as of now, it's a case study related to online fashion store. As my theme would be like I will follow the waterfall or see, I will follow the waterfall concepts because initially all the requirements has been given initially and everything will be detailed, and there are no fixed changes, no changes required. So I will choose waterfall concept over here so that I will follow this. In the similar way, which methodology or model you would be choosing for the case study given to you? So you have to write two justification answers for this particular question according to your things. And the next 12th question is Gantt chart. So prepare a Gantt chart for this particular project. For this project, in the sense you have to prepare your Gantt chart for the project whichever you are going to do. In the sense, depending upon your case study, it would be happen. So let us try to understand what is a Gantt chart. Gantt chart is nothing but a bar chart or like a tool that we a pictorial representation that outlines the timeline of a project and showing the start dates or to the end dates, and the who will be involved, the resources who are involved in this particular project. So how long they exist in the particular project, like starting to the end of the project. Everything will be detailed explained by this particular project by visual representation. So in a similar way, you have to prepare your Gantt chart for your particular case study, which will be given to you. And 12th, 13th question is fixed bid and billing projects. So if we try to understand what is fixed bid and what is a billing project. So a fixed bid project is one in which the service provider agrees to deliver a specific scope of work for a fixed price. The scope of work, deliverables, and the timeline are agreed upon upfront, and the service provider assumes the risk for any cost overrun or delays. So if we try to understand in more detail, here in fixed bid projects, the price or cost of the project is predetermined before the project starts. For example, it would be, let us try to understand, it is a tender based project. So the project price would be fixed initially. So in the similar way, what exactly a billing project is? So billing projects are nothing but a project in is a project in which the service provider bills the client for the actual time and the materials expended on the project. The client pays for the service provider's time and expenses, and the scope of the work can be adjusted to as needed throughout this project. So, if we try to understand what exactly the fixed bid project. So, in fixed bid project, clients know exactly how much the project will cost. But in billing project, sometimes for few projects we can't assume that the project will go and complete with this particular things. So in the similar things, so the client will be having a contract like on the basis of the billing process, whoever the human resources involved and how long they involved, everything will be billed accordingly, and the service based provider, in the sense the client will be paying the vendors accordingly, in the sense how much. For example, in fixed bid, if the work duration is 1 year, so in the 1 year duration, if the project is completed, it's fine. If it exists for the 2 years or 1.5 years, then it would be an ultimate loss for the vendor company. For here, in like fixed bidding project, if the vendor exceeds the time, it completely depends actually. So if the time is existing, if the time is exceeding, then the client can see the vendor can ask for the bill payment depending upon the human resources and the man and machineries or the tools whichever the vendor used for this particular project. Everything will be billed accordingly. So in the similar way, you have to write your answer for this particular fixed bid as well as the billing project question. And next, the 14th question and the final question for this particular case study caption project prep 1 part 1. So the next question is prepare 7 timesheets for requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, deployment, testing, UAT, and development phases. So here, these are the phases generally following under the waterfall and agile concept. So for this particular 7 phases, you have to prepare your like timesheets for your question. So for example, let us try to understand what exactly a timesheet. So timesheet is nothing but a tool that is used to record the amount of working hours an individual spends on a specific task, like a task or a project or the activities during a day or the period of time. So timesheets are commonly used in businesses, particularly in a project-based working things, so that can manage the employees who are paid hourly or daily, and to track the number of working hours and ensure the billing and monitor productivity. So it consists like here it consists like serial number, task involved, and actionable item, start time and end time and duration. In the similar way, you have to in the same format you have to prepare your timesheet for these 7 particular phases: requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, deployment, testing, UAT, and deployment phases. You have to prepare 7 time sheets individually. So this is how exactly you have to prepare your capstone project prep 1 part 1 documentation. So you will be assigned with everyone will be assigned with a case study through the portal. There is no need to do anything. You will be given a case study in the portal. You can check it. So depending upon the case study, you have to work on your particular case study. So just a minute. So depending upon the particular case study which will be given to you, for everyone there will be a common case study. So depending upon that particular case study, you have to work on and you have to write your document related to this particular question in the way we have discussed as. So if you want to refer this particular video, you can check this video in the COEPD YouTube channel under the Capstone Project Prep 1 Part 1 session. So this is how exactly you have to prepare your document for this particular question. So let us go with the concerns if you have any. So let me check everyone in every. So if you have concerns, please do write in the chat box so that I can resolve. From where I will get the caption case study for the caption. Oh, so can you please share this PPT? Shall I continue with this case itself? Please share the question paper on. See, you will be automatically getting, your question paper as well as the case study would be automatically reflecting in your portals once this session, once I mark the attendance. And if you have any queries related to this, you can attend the DCS doubt clarification sessions, which will be conducted every day. And this is PPT. This PPT we won't share with anyone. And if you want to go with the things, you can go through the portal. I mean, go through the CYPD YouTube channel and prepare accordingly.